Welcome to the Candid Wisdom Supernatural episodes for the month of October, where we explore some of the supernatural sides of the Bible story. If you guys would like to see more of this series, or if you like what you hear, make sure you leave a comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into our first episode. The high priest stood alone in the cool shadow of the tabernacle. Sunlight caught the glint of the golden threads of his robe, and across his chest laid a breastpiece, a square deep of blue linen and purple thread with 12 brilliant stones. Each stone was labeled with the names of the tribes of Israel. God had given specific instructions on how the Urim and the Thummim were to be used. It was being used by Aaron, who was a Levite, and God told them to put the Urim and the Thummim in the breastplate so that it would always be over Aaron's heart when he sought counsel. Let's read about this in Exodus chapter 28 and verse 30. Also, put the Urim and the Thummim in the breastpiece, so they may be over Aaron's heart whenever he enters in the presence of the Lord. Thus Aaron will always bear the means of making decisions for the Israelites over his heart before the Lord. Now, before we had Jesus, before we had direct contact and direct authority to go to the throne room of God, the Urim and the Thummim were the way that the Israelites communicated with God. Aaron, the head Levite, or anyone else seeking God's wisdom would put on the breastplate, and God's will would be known through questions, either yes or no. Are we in error or are we good? David, who stood desperate before the priest Abiathar, his enemies were about to overtake him. So he sought the wisdom of God through the Urim and the Thummim. Bring me the ephod, said David. He asked God, shall I pursue them? He was talking about the Philistines. And then the answer came, pursue them, for you will surely overtake them. The ephod was not just symbolic, it was interactive. The tool for revelation, stones that helped man communicate with God. The Urim and the Thummim are mysterious biblical objects used for divine communication. Although they were primarily used by the high priest, others sought them out for wisdom. There's the story of King Saul, who sought the Urim and the Thummim in a desperate moment. But we can read in the Bible where God had stopped communicating with Saul because his fate was already marked. Let's read about that in 1 Samuel and verse 6. He inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him by dreams or by the Urim, or by the prophets. Saul then said to his attendants,
find me a woman who is a medium, so I may go and inquire of her.
This was not Saul's first mistake. There is one in Endor, they said. So Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes, and at night he and 2 men went to the woman. Consult a spirit for me, he said, and bring up for me the one I name. But the woman said to him, surely you know what Saul has done. He has cut off the mediums and spiritualists from the land. Why have you set a trap for me? Why have you set a trap for my life to bring about my death? But Saul put her fears to rest. Then the woman asked, whom shall I bring up for you? Bring up Samuel, he said. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out at the top of her voice and said, Saul, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. The king said to her, don't be afraid. What did you see? The woman said, I see a ghostly figure coming up from the earth. What does he look like? He asked. An old man wearing a robe is coming up, she said. Then Saul knew it was Samuel, and he bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me from bringing me up? I am in great distress, Saul said. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has departed from me. He no longer answers me, either by prophets or by dreams. So I've called on you to tell me what to do. Saul consulted a medium to bring up the prophet Samuel for answers when the Urim and the Thummim no longer worked. But Saul would not like what he heard next. Let's read about it. Samuel said, Why do you consult me now that the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy?
The Lord has done to you what he predicted through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hands
And given it to your neighbors, to David, because you did not obey the Lord or carry out his fierce wrath against the Amalekites. The Lord has done this to you today. The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines. Saul's fate was pronounced by Samuel. And tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord also will give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Samuel told King Saul right there in that moment that he and his sons would be in the land of the dead by tomorrow. If you want to hear more mysterious, intriguing, and somewhat creepy stories from the Bible, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can get a notification when the next story comes out.